Hi, third grade. Today we're going to talk about the third type of balance, which is called asymmetrical balance. We started with the easiest type of balance, which is called symmetrical balance. So that means if you were to draw a line down the center of a picture, everything on one side is exactly the same as on the other side. Then we talked about radial balance. So that was when, if you were to draw a circle, you would repeat something on the top and the bottom, and on the left and the right, or in all four corners, or all the way around the center. But everything, again, is exactly the same, either up, top, bottom, left and right, or all the way around, okay? So symmetrical is the easiest. Radial is pretty easy because it's just kind of like symmetrical times 4. And then the third type of balance is the trickiest, which is why we're doing it last. It's called asymmetrical balance. So I have a symmetrical face. Mostly the things on one side are the same on the other. If I were to put on a hat in the center, it's pretty symmetrical. If I were to turn the hat to the side, it is not symmetrically balanced. It is not balanced. It is really heavy on one side and there is nothing on the other side. It's not even. But, get ready, if I were to put on another hat, it's not symmetrical. It's also not staying on my head. It's not symmetrical, but I have something here and something here. So they're even, but different. They're not exactly the same, but they're even. So having something on both sides makes it balanced. Because it's not the same, it's not symmetrically balanced. It's asymmetrically balanced. All right, so let's keep talking. All right, so if I have a symmetrically balanced face and I put one hand up, I'm no longer balanced. This is making it too heavy on the other side. But if I have another hand up, then I'm asymmetrically balanced because both hands are even though they're not the same, okay? I'm symmetrically balanced because they're exactly the same. Asymmetrically balanced because they're even but not quite the same. Not balanced. Okay, let's try again. Let's see if I can think of something. Okay, if I wink my eye, I have two eyes, but they're not exactly the same. So are they symmetrical, asymmetrical, or not balanced at all? They're asymmetrical. If I open my eyes, then they're symmetrical, same on both sides. Asymmetrical, even on both sides, but different on both sides, okay? Not balanced, because this is way more than what's happening over here, okay? So I have something extra that's not even. We're gonna keep talking about it, and if you don't fully understand it, that's okay. You can reach out to me or you can talk to me when you see me at school if you're in school and we can talk more about it. But I think that as we keep going over examples, you're gonna start to get it.
For this unit, we are going to talk about the principle of balance, and we are going to focus on our last part of balance, which is asymmetrical balance. As a review, symmetrical balance is when things are exactly the same on both sides. If we were to draw a line of symmetry down any of these three pictures, the things on the left should be exactly the same as the things on the right. That is why they are symmetrically balanced. Asymmetrical balance, however, is when things are different, but they are still even on both sides. So if we look at the tree on the left, it's symmetrical. The left side is exactly the same as the right side. The tree on the right is asymmetrical. We still have tree branches on the left and the right, but they're different. Because there's branches on both sides, they're even, but they're different shaped branches. If we look down at our clown faces, the clown on the left has the sides that are the same for the symmetrical clown. The asymmetrical clown, there's still things on both sides, so it's even, but they're different, which makes it asymmetrical. These pictures are also asymmetrical. Everything is balanced evenly. Things are equal on the left side and the right side, but nothing is the same on the left and the right from any of these pictures, which makes it asymmetrically balanced. Now, asymmetrical balance can definitely be confused with artwork that is not balanced. And we do not want to create artwork that is not balanced. When both sides are not even at all, like this stone photograph with all the stones on one side and nothing on the other side, that's not balanced. If we look at this collection of shapes up top, we have a lot on the left and nothing on the right. That is not balanced. So if we look at these three pictures, we can see this one's obviously symmetrical balance. This one is asymmetrical balance because there's something on the left and the right, but this one is not balanced. If I drew a line down the center, there's way more on the right side than there is on the left side. So let's find out how we're going to make an asymmetrical work of art. Let's get started.
Okay, for this assignment, what we're going to need is we're going to need a pencil and eraser, a piece of blank paper. Please don't use lined. You can use a light color, white, or a piece of paper bag that you cut open. And then we're going to need coloring materials that blend well together. If you choose to use markers, that's okay for adding lines and details, but for the most part, you can use watercolors, crayons will work well, colored pencils will work well, and also, if you have them, oil pastels. Now I know a lot of people are working from those giant art kits that you get for gifts, and you may find that oil pastels are in here. And one other thing that you might choose to use is chalk. So anything that will blend well together. So we're going to draw from our lesson a few months ago of blending. So like I said before, we're going to use objects that we're going to arrange in a still life. So I'd like you to find 3 to 5 objects. I have chosen 4 objects for your still life drawing. Great objects would be a vase or a bowl like I have here, fruits or vegetables, a mug, a cup, probably not a glass because it's hard to draw. If you have art supplies, you can throw them in. Books are great. Any kind of a paintbrush or a marker or a pencil would be wonderful. Fruits, flowers, plants. When you're arranging them, I want you to arrange them so that they make an asymmetrical design. So, if this was my line of symmetry right here, let's say right about here, right? What's on the left is not equal to the right. However, I have most of my bowl on one side, and then I have my mug on the other. I have a pear on one side and an apple on the other, okay? So we are pretty similar, but we're even, but everything is different. If I had a pear and a pear, then that would be symmetrical. Because it's a pear and an apple, it's asymmetrical. And then, to take it another step further, I'd like you to overlap a little bit. So these objects are inside the bowl, so the bowl is over these objects a little bit. I have my pear slightly in front of my apple, and then tucked behind here I have my mug. So we're going to place each of the objects so that they are overlapping. So when you're drawing, remember, and if you need to, you can fold your paper in half. But remember that you should not have the same things on each side of the line of symmetry. So if I'm drawing my bowl, it's going to be mostly on one side of my line of symmetry and a little bit on the other. Then I'm going to put my mug on this side of my line of symmetry. And my fruits, I have 2 different fruits. So I have my pear, and I'm looking at my objects, which I know you cannot see. I'm looking at my objects as I draw them. I have objects that are overlapping, so my bowl is in front of my pear, which is in front of my apple, and tucked behind my bowl is also my mug. Now, when we're adding color, we could challenge ourselves by adding in some shading. So If I used watercolor or colored pencils or chalks, I could add some shadows that I observe from my fruits with a colored pencil and then go over it with my chalks or my colored pencils or my watercolors. But anytime you have something that's behind another object, you'll notice a little bit of a shadow. And I do want you to blend colors on top. So this is just an example for how to shade if you want to challenge yourself. I have 3 examples for how to add color. So I have watercolor, I have crayons, and I have colored pencils. And you can also use chalk if you have it. You do not have to do more than 1 copy. These are just examples of how I blended my colors in order to create my design. And remember to include a background as well. But today, I really want to show you how to, and I'll leave these here just so that you can see them, but I really want to show you how to draw or color using oil pastels. So oil pastels look a lot like crayons, but they're made of oils instead of wax like a crayon, and they are really messy, so you should probably not do this in your living room. You might want to have a newspaper underneath, which I most likely would have if I was doing this in the classroom with you guys, okay? But what's great about oil pastels is they blend together really lovely. So here I have my green, but I'm gonna go over this yellow a little bit and maybe color a little yellow on top, and look how nicely that's blending. And it's starting to really look very real, okay? I'm gonna put a little bit of green here. I'm going to add some green to my background. So whenever I put a color in my still life, I like to add it somewhere in my background that's not close to where it is in my still life, just so that it looks like it belongs in the picture. And if I were to put green behind my green pear, my pear would blend into the picture too much. So that wouldn't really make a lot of sense, right? So I'm going to blend a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to use a little bit of red and blend it in. Put a little red in here with the yellow, because those 2 colors blend together really nicely. Add a little yellow on top too to really get it to blend, blend, blend. If you don't have oil pastels, then you can use one of the other examples that I have. You can use crayons, chalk, watercolors always blend nicely together. Colored pencils are fantastic for blending. Markers would not work. However, I did draw my picture with a marker just so you can see it. But outlining with a marker is always nice, or adding in details with a marker. And then if you want to take it a step further, add in some shading, which I did not do in this picture. Or you can take a step, make it a step easier by adding in some, just using 3 objects instead of 4 or 5. So maybe if I had made my picture just those 3 objects, that would still not be symmetrically balanced. That would still be asymmetrical, so that would count for that. And then I could just focus on the 3 objects instead of the extra objects, right? So this red did not really blend so nicely, so I'm going to try it differently. See if that blends a little bit. There we go. And there we have it. A little bit of blue here, because purple and green are really coming muddy. And that is how you use oil pastels. little bit more blending here. So again, you only have to do one picture. You can choose any of the materials that you would like to create your design, and make sure you have overlapping objects that you drew from your own home. It could be plants, it could be books. You could draw a paintbrush, you could draw pencils. Blend your colors. If you want to take it a step further, add in the shading. If you want to make it a little bit easier, cut out one of the objects and just do 3. But make sure again that your picture is asymmetrically balanced, which means it is not equal on both sides, but it should be even. So take a picture, upload it, and send it to me. We are almost done with our art assignments for this year. How exciting! I cannot wait to see what you can make.